What I'll do is I'll introduce the team. My name is Noreen. I'm from Cota, and we have in the room Nancy Blade.
Hi.
And Awa and Les Smith.
Hi.
So this is our team today, and different ones may pop in and out as we do the presentation. So there's the picture screen. Do I control it or do you control it?
We do. So just tell us when to go to the next slide.
Next slide. Okay. So our story is that we in 2017, we did a refresher training, so where we went around to all the different teams in Cota to talk about OCAN and do a bit of a refresher. And that was a huge learning experience in learning and understanding people's perspectives on the OCAN. And it was also noted that there were many inconsistencies. So we put together a working group, and some of the people from that working group have become our QI team. Les Smith and Nancy was part of that working group, where we started to look at the OCAN reports that were available, beginning to learn how to analyze them. We learned that only approximately 1/3 of all the OCANs that were being done at Cota included the self-assessment. And so Cota was quite good at getting OCANs done, but not so good at getting the self-assessment. And this is very important to be able to have the client's voice included in developing their own recovery plans. So then E-QIP became an opportunity. We applied. We were really happy to be successful, and this is where our journey began. Next slide. So we started with that in the one team in Cota, and that's the North York Integrated Service Team. And we noted that there was a low completion rate of self-assessments, and our problem was by not engaging clients in their needs and goals, the client is not the driver in their own recovery plan. And our aim was to increase the number of clients reporting their needs and goals as measured through the OCAN self-assessment. Next slide. So here's a slide, and we can send it out to you. It's just gathering all the different information, why this was important. It was so important to us because if the OCAN is being used on many different levels, so the first and foremost is to determine client needs and goals. Their self-assessment is essential so that we're working together and ensuring that we're working on the goals that the person wants, but also on other levels, if we were going to begin to make decisions about other programming and so on in Cota, and even throughout the province, that client voice was not present to the degree that it needed to be present for those types of decisions. So we went through a series of exercises with the team. Nancy's team was fabulous and being willing to work with us and being very curious about the journey, and so they were very engaging. Some of the barriers that we felt was that we learned about were that the consistency in engaging clients was very different, and also the understanding. And so we had a hard time engaging the clients with learning more about the OCAN. So I'll move on to the fishbone. So when we did this with the team, certainly what came out more for the team was in terms of challenges, why they weren't able to complete the self-assessment. It was around the client's abilities, their family, language barriers, the relationship, and from the service provider perspective, clients not engaged and felt that their clients had a true indifference to completing the OCAN. The assessment itself, there were some challenges around there. There's too many questions, duplication, or they felt it was a duplication. And timing was a huge factor. Staff were, the OCAN is being used more as an administrative tool, and so they feel that it is very cumbersome to complete and have a hard time keeping up with that. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So then we began to plot, and I was going to talk to you for a moment about this slide, about describing to you what this is. Go ahead.
Yes, here we have a frequency distribution of the total number of OCAN that were completed in the year 2017 from the ICC. From the table, you can see the false means clients without self-assessment, and true means clients with self-assessment. If you can notice from the graph, you realize that most of the OCANs were completed in the months of July, August, September, October, and November. And also, those without self-assessment are more than the ones with self-assessment. So our interest is to increase the number of self-assessment that have been completed for the coming years.
Okay, so the next thing that we did was a client survey. So we began surveying the clients and asking them about the OCAN. We didn't do an experience-based design with the clients at this point. We will actually in the future, but we learned a lot from talking to them in that a lot of them didn't know what an OCAN was, didn't care what an OCAN was, but also they were saying they were communicating their needs to the case manager. They had a lot of praise to give to the case manager and felt that they were working on the goals that they identified. They were not using the process of the OCAN, and they didn't have a great understanding for the purpose. So we knew that we had a lot of work to do. Okay, so next slide. So then we did the experience-based design with the staff to learn better what was getting in their way. What was it about the OCAN? Where were the major pain points with the OCAN, so that we could learn better to figure out what our change ideas would be. So we took that information and that data, and Awa will tell you about the Pareto chart that was developed. Go ahead.
Next slide. Okay, this Pareto chart is from the OCAN processes. That's the different step in that they need to go through in completing the OCAN. So the case managers were asked about their emotion about the different steps, and from their responses, we came up with a Pareto chart. And from you can notice at this position where we have the 89%, which means we can consider any of the different steps below that 89% and work on it. So at this point, we decided to go with the one at the position, engaging with clients on doing a reassessment and also improving communication skills with their case managers.
So what we decide, with the team, some of the ideas that we came up with to focus on is, and through the discussions with the team, you can go on to the next slide, is that there were a lot of inconsistencies. The training that had happened initially with OCAN when the initial rollout, there hadn't been training since. Different ways that people approach the OCAN, not a true understanding of the connection between the OCAN and recovery plans, and people feeling that it wasn't a tool that could help. So from that point, what we did do was we talked about having a refresher training with just the North York IST team. And that part hasn't happened yet, so we're working on developing it. We were not able to complete that. We weren't able to complete that before the ending of this project. But we also learned that clients were communicating their needs, and they had a strong bond with the case manager. Some of the issues around that, though, is there was no way of tracking, there was no documentation on that, there was no real real way of tracking it. It was anecdotal, and so we needed to have this process a little bit more able to define with clients. So our training is going to be, we can go on to the next slide. We can go on to the next slide. Okay. So the root causes: lack of client engagement, lack of hope, clients' lack of hope, and the staff need for training. So we redid our project charter, and this was the final that we came up with. And you can take a look at it. We can make the slides available. I won't go into all the details, but just focusing on the different tools that we use, the 5 whys, updated the fishbone, the survey to the clients, the experience-based design. That exercise was awesome. I found that offered a lot of learning, both the fishbone, the survey, and the experience-based design. And we do plan to, once there are more clients completing the OCAN, and so I would say 6 months down the road, we plan to do that exercise with clients so that we can learn even more. So next slide. As you can see from here, our one idea right now, well, we have 2 ideas actually, is to develop the training, and that's in development, and the training is scheduled for September 22nd. And the second part was to introduce using tablets with clients. So all the staff here have tablets, and they were going to sit with clients and just be available to answer questions as the clients were working through. Not do it for them, but try to see if that makes any difference in maybe having that support available if they didn't feel they could do it on their own. Again, it would still be a choice. If clients wanted to do the paper, that's fine, but this is just an extra option. So those were the 2 change ideas. And next slide. So here the aim is to increase the number of clients reporting their needs and goals as measured through the OCAN from the current 40% to 80% by March 31st. So we hope to actually see that shift after training, support, and using new technology. And we will be monitoring it, and if it isn't shifting, we'll go back to the drawing board and make more shifts to that. Next slide. So this is just a word about our change ideas. I know it's a very wordy slide. Something I'd like to speak to here is the evidence that we have available where we're getting data is the Pirouette reports and OCAN reports and the client survey. So something to think about in the background, the risky assumptions, is it might be if the OCAN self-assessments do not increase, that clients are not communicating their needs and goals. And so I think it's risky to believe that through our learnings with the survey. What the issue is that we do want to use the tool that the province is using, and we want to be able to measure those changes over time. And so the clients may be communicating their needs and goals, but there's no way to measure and for people to begin to see that increase over time. And so, okay, next slide. So our data collection will be through Pirouette and the OCAN reports. And our outcome measure is percentage of clients of the North York IST team, which will have participated in the self-assessment. Process measure is percentage of clients reporting that their needs are being identified, and the balancing measure is percentage of clients who report their case manager assisted them to complete the OCAN. Next slide. So we will develop run charts for the process measures. And so we are also going to be having a pre and a post test. So when we do the training, we will develop the pre and the post test for the staff training. So we can see if some of the values, some of the ideas have shifted from before the training and after the training. And what we anticipate the impact to be, we're hoping that there will be an improved clinical outcomes in that we can measure progress, and we're hoping that people will, in a more formalized way, link some of those expressions of needs and goals to recovery plans, and that there's a way to demonstrate this. And we're hoping that it would be an improved experience for the clients so that they can see as well their progress when you go back after those 6 months and you say, okay, what has changed? Okay. Next slide. So I won't go into this too much. I think I've spoken to a lot of it. Key challenge, OCAN is viewed as an administrative tool. Staff buy-in, tracking reports for OCAN. It's not by program, it's by functional center, so this is a problem as well. Next slide. What we're excited about. What we're excited about is clients engaged in identifying their needs and goals, testing our change idea. We're excited to do this training to see if it makes a difference, because our overall goal is then to do this throughout Cota with other teams. It's going to take time, but it's an issue all across Cota. And what the factors are is the time, the support from senior leadership, and our workload. So this is impacting the pace, but nonetheless we have some specific goals, And if by March we're able to move that needle, we will take this whole process starting, in the beginning of April, to other teams. We'll choose another team and we'll go forward with that. So I think that, what's the next line? Does anybody have any questions? I guess I have one more to say. What I would do next time, it was very challenging to get feedback from the clients by phone. It was extremely challenging. Yeah. And so what I would prefer to do next time is to do some focus groups with clients and do things in person. In person, yes. Okay, so, and I think we've already spoken to the next step. Okay, questions?
Thank you, Noreen. Anyone with any questions, you can just put your hand up or...
Good job, Bob. Good job. Thank you. Okay.
Just a question. Mike's monitoring the question box, so I don't know.
No questions here. Just some big thank yous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And thank you to the team. Yeah. Thank you to the team. And the E-QIP team was extremely helpful to us, and we learned a lot through this process.
Beautiful. Thank you. So I think we'll go back up to the top. I think Ivan is ready to, I think we've got you connected now.